Paul Slack. It's Good News Planet. I'm speaking to Lawrence Friedman. Hi, Lawrence. How are you?
Oh, good. About as good as you can be from Boston tonight.
Oh, you're physically in Boston. Yeah. Well, this is a good reason to have our conversation.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a bad reason to have our conversation. Obviously, the way we're looking at it. So Lawrence has written a book here, The Lives of Erich Fromm, prophet. And Lawrence is a professor at Harvard University Mind-Brain Behavior Institute and a professor emeritus at Indiana University. You've written quite a few other books and a Writer of the Year. And just to let our audience know, this is the day after the Boston Marathon bombs, let's call them. And the person who we're going to speak about, who Lawrence Friedman wrote about, had a quest for lasting peace, Erich Fromm. And, well, tell us about how you got interested in him, and let's try to make it applicable to today's life, because we are trying our best to do a world peace, global truce, in relationship to the International Day of Peace as declared by the United Nations on September 21st.
Well, that's wonderful.
We have a lot of things in common. I'd like to make this part one of many, especially now with our outreach, continued outreach for world peace and harmony. So why don't you first give us some background on the book?
Okay. The book began, I suppose, when I was 18 years old, and I saw Fromm in a program, an interview with Mike Wallace, and I was so taken, just about to go to college, I read every one of his books. I think that's the beginning. And I don't know anybody more dedicated and more effective in the peace movement than Fromm. I found so much I hadn't realized before. Essentially, Fromm's perspective and the way he would have looked at the marathon bombings yesterday was that we had two possibilities in life. Biophilia, which is a love of life, happiness, productivity, activity, and a necrophilia, which is an attraction to death, decay, putrid. Hitler, of course, used as a major example. Gandhi and Mother Teresa, on the other hand, of biophilia. So it's pretty clear what he would have seen yesterday, the destructive impulse in the human being. Now, Fromm, and things he did, his big book is called The Art of Loving, so love is the message, and love he equated with peace. And toward that end, he was a founder of Amnesty International, the Committee for Sane Nuclear Policy, any peace candidate who ran for office, practically. So I don't know anyone more avid and strong in the peace cause than Fromm.
And he was respected in that regard. He was listened to. He was listened to by President Kennedy. He was listened to by Eugene McCarthy. He was devout in this regard.
Well, he was listened to, and his best friend was William Fulbright, the senator who was head of the Foreign Relations Committee. And this all I didn't know until I began my research, the political role that he exercises, and also globally. Gorbachev knew him early on, before he was well known. Khrushchev talked to him rather often. So you have enormous political influence. And I think what may be behind it is the books sell. Huge. He didn't write a book that sold less than 1 million copies. When you bring in that kind of income and royalties, his choice was to be the philanthropist and give it out. And you give it out primarily to peace activities.
Well, not everybody does that.
No, not everyone. Erich Fromm gave, in his will, I've looked at, it all went to Amnesty International. That's unusual.
Let's talk about how you think, would deal with the nuclear concerns of today, the terrorism of today, including America, is concerns. How do you think today, do you think it would be any different, or he would still be speaking the way he had while he was alive?
Well, while he was alive, he helped, frankly, avoid a nuclear war, because Kennedy listened to him and Khrushchev listened to him. And his approach was simply telling them, you take a big step toward peace and you pressure everyone else to follow that, or they're in trouble in public image. Then you take another big step toward peace and pressure the other. Well, let's take today on that front. It would not work, obviously, in Korea. It's too late for anything to work in Korea. But in Iran, there is a possibility, given that there is some division in the Iranian government. It may not. But he would say it's worth a try. And it certainly helped in easing tensions between the Soviets and the United States after the Cuban Missile Crisis. One thing he didn't speak to, and this notes a change in our world, he didn't speak to terrorism. And that probably is that it was not as conspicuous a present in his day as it is in ours.
Well, let me ask you, you said something. Why is it too late in North Korea?
North Korea, this is speculating what he would have thought. I think North Korea, the current leadership, is out of their minds, frankly, and can't negotiate. What he would do, were he alive, is not bother with North Korea, but bother and have extensive negotiations and pressure on China, which is the only country North Korea will listen to. And that still might be effective. Secretary of State Kerry is doing just that in recent weeks. So you never give up in the quest for peace. And you try things, and if they don't work, you try other things. That's Erich Fromm.
One of the things that I heard, and I believe it to be so, and I haven't heard it, I didn't hear it in relationship to the Boston situation, but, yesterday also was the grandfather of the leader of North Korea's, I believe, birthday. And let's pray and hope that it's not connected.
Yeah.
Because these are concerns, and because of our total dedication right now to world peace, global truce, trying to help the United Nations get the word out about a global truce worldwide, we've dedicated ourselves to that outreach. And so when I got the opportunity to interview you, it is extremely timely, and I would be asking Erich Fromm to attend, as I'm going to ask you to attend our Peace Day events, because obviously this is inside of you as well, because you would not be writing about this unless you really cared about this, I can vision.
Yeah, I've been in...
Why do you care about this?
I've been in peace movements since the late 50s, and I care about it because I think, and even more now than earlier, that wars are wasteful, wars are horrible things, and that there is a capacity in human beings to avoid them, and we ought to try to avoid them. I've been in just about every peace movement since the Hungarian Revolt of 1956. And let me add here, why part of the relevance of Fromm is that every time a dictator took hold and repressed, that is Hungary in 56, in 1976 or 67, pardon me, the Czechoslovakian suppression by the Soviets, all the way to Arab Spring, his book Escape from Freedom is read. And Escape from Freedom is just what we don't want. We don't want a dictatorship where you step on the person below and you salute the person above. The fact that that book sold in Arab Spring gives me hope, really. And just at one case in point, the Arab Spring began, the first sign was in the south of Saudi Arabia, a little bit beyond. And the police, the national police force, everywhere suppressed. You couldn't buy Escape from Freedom after the revolt. It's available in the bookstores of many areas of the Arab world, and that's hopeful.
Let me mention once again the lives of Erich Fromm, loves prophet Lawrence Friedman. We're speaking with Lawrence. What is the third way?
Okay. You're asking great questions.
I mix it up.
That's fine. The third way, Fromm in the 1960s and into the 70s was very hopeful when the satellite countries of the Soviet regime, like Poland and Yugoslavia, and Czechoslovakia, were attempting to break away from the Soviet influence. But he didn't want them to go to the way of the West. The Soviets were dictatorial, bureaucratic. The West he saw as much too corporate capitalist, too much emphasis on consumerism, and not terribly democratic either. The third way is what he hopes to develop in Central and Eastern Europe, small countries there, which are real democracies where people are listened to, where human needs are taken care of, there isn't any poverty. He wanted to pull it off, and actually he put together an organization and a book trying to unite third way countries. That was fairly significant, and I think we still, from time to time, hold that up as a model of democracy that didn't in the end pan out in most places, but it's better than the Soviet regime.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the sense that I have, and I thank you so much for this book and for the work you're doing, the sense that I have of Mr. Fromm is that he considers himself part of the problem and part of the solution in life. That he is, even in his conversations in a psychological way with somebody, he's throwing in his opinion. And he's not just a listener. He's a participant. And worldwide, he feels, in essence, from what I see here, because I love this kind of a person, because we are all in it together. There is no presidents. There is no paupers. We are all just Homo sapiens in my mind, in our good news outreach. I sense that this is the type of man he was.
I think you're right. The subtitle is Love's Prophet. He is a prophet. And he tries to spread ways of peace, of loving existence, of democracy everywhere. Erich Fromm, yes, he listened to people, but you knew his opinion in the end, and millions of people read that. Let me tie this to something else. If there's a theme, a broad theme in this book, it's that he was what Pope John the 23rd called him, a teacher of the world. He took important concepts, peace, love, justice, and millions of people in every country in the world listened to him. That's a prophet. That's a very important person.
He had a statement, a central relatedness. He was part. He is that in essence what we're talking about here?
I think so. That as a clinician or in any of our relationships, we connect to the other in a loving, caring way, whether, as he was at times, a therapist with a patient or relating to anybody. You try to involve yourself in that person and move that person's involvement in you. And the bottom line, that's what central relatedness is. He had another concept that went along with that, and that was a creativity, a social character, he called it, a productive social character, where you created a society that molded us in a loving, caring way. So you've got someone who is a prophet, is a utopian, but he pulled it off on a lot of occasions.
Let me, at this moment, I'm going to ask you one last question, and we didn't even get to love, and love is the answer.
Yep.
And he stated it well, and you stated beautifully. This is a great book. Thank you for doing it. And
well, thank you. Thank you. And the questions, your questions are really wonderful.
Well, I have a little help here from a book that you wrote as well. I'm cheating. I have a book in front of me. So.
Yeah, okay. Cheat more often, all right? It's fun.
All right, so we're going to talk again because actually I feel this is the opening of our outreach for the World Peace concert, the World Peace event that we're planning on September 21st once again.
Yeah, well, that's great. Keep it going.
Thank you.
And I'll be there to help if you want me.
You're part of it. You're part of it.
You bet I am. Great.
Let me ask you, what's good news for you?
What's good news?
For you?
Not very many people were killed yesterday. It was bad news, but it could have been a lot worse. And the good news is I've got a 3.5-year-old grandson into dinosaurs and all, who called me yesterday and says he wants to be a paleontologist. Now, that's pretty good news. Not a baseball player, not a cowboy, but a paleontologist. That makes me, wonderful wife, wonderful kids. That's all nice.